Hi everyone, so this will be my part 3 of the video. We'll try to redesign this page here with using the assets from Claude Design and obviously using Claude itself to rewrite this front-end application. As you can see, it's already on my local host and this application didn't really change much. It's a really simple one, really. So first of all, we will try to redesign this whole thing locally using Claude, and then we'll push it to vercel, and we will see it in production hopefully if everything is fine. So before we start, we just spin up the Claude here, and there is this issue with the MCP. So just slash it and go to doctor. And it will tell me that some skills could be disabled just to save some tokens, the context. And also the N8N MCP could be disabled, and the clay one as well. I don't really need it. And the ClickUp and the Gmail is not needed really, and they add the Google Calendar most probably as well. So for now definitely not needed, and in such a way we will save some tokens in the context. Unused. Okay, this one is disabled as well. Okay, escape, and then maybe also let's check it out what we have in the skills directory and what would be needed and what could be disabled as well. Okay, yes, makes sense. Front-end design as well, yes. I'm not sure about those vercel ones, but I just installed them as part of the official plugin, so I don't really know what they entail, but obviously never do it. But with the official plugins, at least there is a probability there is nothing wrong in there. Okay, I don't see anything wrong there. Verso, superpowers, it's fine. Okay, let's go out, clear. Okay, so now the instruction will be simple. Analyze the implementation plan, and I'll just copy the relative path there. Then create a to-do list based on that plan and start the implementation. Make sure to consider the team of agents, sub-agents, to implement them, those to-do items in parallel to save some time. Okay, I think that's it. So let's just press enter and see how it works. As you can see, I have it in auto mode, so when it is done with the to-do list and it actually spins up some sub-agents to change the design of the web page, we will be able to observe it on localhost, most probably even without restarting the browser. Okay, so let's press enter and it will read this file here. Okay, so the sub-agent driven development skill will be loaded, and it will create a to-do list that will plan for the implementation, assuming the fact we have a couple of sub agents that can work independently on different parts of the application. Again, this is massively over engineered, as you can see, because the page is really simple and we could just spin it up without rewriting and changing anything. But let's stick to this solution here and waste some token budget I have for the day. I haven't used it today, and let's see what comes out of it by the end of the day. So we have the sub-agent driven development skill, and now it is going to read the skill of itself, a couple of them from the looks of it, the code review one. So let's see. At least this time we won't be wasting way too many tokens because we cleaned up the context window. I was pretty sure I disabled the MCP servers before, but apparently some of them were still enabled. Yeah, that's shame on me, I know. So let's wait it up. Create a task list and start executing. "19 plan items." Okay. We'll see how it goes. I will have to post the video for now, it's going to take a while. Okay, so the list is ready. As you can see here, it basically has told us that we have 9 batch jobs, and they can work in parallel because there is no overlap between the areas of development really. So based on file analysis, 9 tasks are completely file independent and can run in parallel, which is great obviously. So for now it is spinning up those sub agents. There's one here and probably there will be more. Well, usually they are, yes. So T2, there has to be 9 of those. And we'll see how it works out. The great thing about sub agents is obviously that they are not sharing the common context. There is this main agent that kind of delegates the tasks to the sub agents. They have limited their own context, so the context is not being shared, and then the delegator, let's put it this way, will just control the execution and summarize the results, the output really. So I don't see the remaining agents in here. Not sure why, but presumably they should be all running in the background. It's not being shown in here. Anyway, I will probably just pause for a while and we'll get back to this when the implementation is over, because there is nothing to show here really, nothing to present, unless there will be some interesting topics related to the MCP of Playwright. Actually, we disabled that one. We'll see how it handles it, because we need this enabled to be able to compare the localhost version of the application against the standalone HTML file we exported from Claude Design. And yeah, that's the MCP we will need, that's for sure. And there is also another piece that I wanted to discuss, the GitHub security alerts. So from time to time it scans the application and tells you about the legacy deprecated packages that you're using, libraries, or the vulnerabilities if you happen to have any. And we do have some on my other website, and the other website, the one that you saw before, I want to implement the finalized design, but this time I will experiment with open code most probably and GLM. Okay, I'm back. So it's 8 of 9 tasks are spec compliant. As you can see, the T14 has a bug, so it found some bug in the existing application, and it also we have this list of changes, and now it finally uses PowerShell to create commits and to basically operate with Git finally, because apparently the instruction in the settings, global settings on this machine, the instruction wasn't clear enough, so it basically specified that bash is forbidden, blocked, whatever. Obviously I don't have bash here and I couldn't make it work because there is a standalone application that you can install, and this will pretend to be bash on the Windows machine. Didn't work out and I couldn't make it work, but I have PowerShell instead, but still it just doesn't work for some reason. So I only have PowerShell here, and I had to change the global settings of this machine for Claude. And finally it knows that it can use PowerShell and doesn't tell me to do anything on my own and to spin it up in the terminal. But it took me some time yesterday, I think it was yesterday, complaining, arguing in the terminal with Claude, telling it to change the settings because for some reason blocked bash was pretty much the same for it as blocked PowerShell. Go figure. In any case, that's it. I'm not sure how many of those we have left. Okay. So we have 10 pending and 9 in progress. So those are still not closed. So data layer navbar, one of them was closed just now. And as you can see, finally, because I am not that stupid today as I was a couple of days ago, and I disabled the MCPs that I don't need. And just do it on your end as well. When you start a new session, just make sure that you don't have any weird MCPs enabled that will just pollute your context window and just will make you waste a lot of tokens on every call to the model, which obviously doesn't make any sense. And the same goes for skills. Obviously, if I was more advanced as a user and I actually read all those skills on my own, wasn't that lazy, so all the skills that we check there, some of them obviously can be disabled, and in this case I would be saving even more, I guess, but I'm still way too lazy for this. So let's wait it up, and we'll return to the video when we are done, or if there is any interesting piece of information for me to share. Okay, I wanted to see what's going on there, but the application is not. Oh, it actually works. As you can see, it installed the fonts. I'm not sure if I asked for that version of the fonts of that title. I'm not sure that's exactly Panama. We'll have to check with Claude Design afterwards. But it is getting closer and closer. Obviously we'll have to test it out afterwards. Let's see, we have 6 batch 2 agents are done. Spec reviews for 6 in parallel. So we have 9 completed, 4 pending and 2 in progress. So the fonts, we see that it actually works. The Google fonts are there. Create shared stats band components, rewrite about section, and so on. Now we'll see. At this point in time, we have those 2 sub agents here, and this one moves, those move as well. I'm not sure about the form We'll test it out a bit later. The link, yeah, the link is correct as well. The button, that should be my calendar invite. Yes. That button goes nowhere at this point of time, and these pills are not working. Not sure if they have to. Okay, my email. Oh, it looks okay, I would say. Privacy policy even there. I even forgot that I generated one. I think I needed this for Facebook. Yeah, I needed this for Facebook. For the app to use WhatsApp for automation, so I needed those 2 pages. And I'm not sure about the design of this card here, but we'll see about that. Anyway, we have 2 in progress, couple of commits there. Removing old icon imports while the inline services area still uses them causes undefined identifier errors. T17. Okay. We'll see about that. So we have 2 pending, 3 in progress, and 10 completed. So we are almost done. As you can see, we just didn't have even to compact the context window this time. Why? Because again, I failed with the MCPs in my previous video. So don't repeat my mistakes, otherwise we'll end up reaching the session limits and you won't be able to accomplish what you planned. Totally stupid on my end, and I have it recorded, which makes it even funnier. Okay, so we are almost there. We'll have to run the simplify plugin, and also we will run the code review plugin as well, just to make sure that we don't have any duplicates, weird stuff and so on, and review all of it before we push it to production. So at this point of time, let's wait it out for now, and I will post the video here. Okay, we are back. So if I refresh this page here, I have the services here, moving cards, and I have the ways to work with me. So I'm not sure about this one. The contact is supposed to send me, okay. And that's the calendar link on Google, and this one is the contact form as well. And we'll have to test it out, and we'll see if it will obey, and we'll test it itself as well as part of the implementation plan. We'll see. Okay, what's left? You see I'm still on the same context, it's just by disabling the MCPs. So make sure not to waste the context window on your end. It just doesn't make any sense, especially if you don't need the MCPs. But now we will probably face an issue because the MCP for Playwright is disabled. So let's see, 1 pending and a couple of them in progress. Okay, so T15, T17 both done, 0 TS errors, TypeScript, quality review flagged, opacity modifier issue, something doesn't work. Okay. Spec review T15 and T17. Presumably almost all of them are done. The last step here, the T18, will be the section by section comparison against reference bundle, and this might require that MCP I mentioned before, and we have it disabled. Okay, so T15, T17, they got accepted. Okay, crossed out, and the very last one is pending. Let's see what's there. Okay. Actually, in the application, I would say it's not bad. It's much better than I expected. It looked kind of different on the Claude Design end in the cloud version. Okay, so it starts the server and PowerShell on a different port, as you can see, because this one is already occupied, and it will try to compare side by side. And I'm not sure. Yeah, that was the T19. So smoke test and contact form end-to-end verification. So as you can see, if you provide this as an instruction and it actually gets implemented into the plan, even on the new fresh session where it doesn't have enough context, if it's in the plan, it will do it. You just need to specify it, and we'll see what happens next. So this is, oh, not sure why I didn't disable the server there. Now everything is 404. Okay, let's try to start it again. It's 3000 again. For some reason this 404. Okay, now it works. The page is fine. I don't really like this menu here, that there is no like a sticky white thing there. I might change it later, because at this point of time it kind of overflows, and this overlap is not great looking, let's put it this way. So let's get back to Claude and see what's happening. So okay, now it is compacting the conversation, so we actually are over the limit I specified in the settings of Claude. I think it was exactly 80% of context, and then there is an instruction that it will compact the conversation itself. So as you can see, 0% until auto compact. And let's wait it out and see what happens next. It's not bad, I have to say. It's not bad. Definitely much better than the existing web page. The existing page is actually quite awful. Plus, we have to remember why we did this. Well, first of all, to test out the Claude Design functionality, that's an A. B, because we needed to move away from lovable, which builds those pages in as SPAs, single page applications, that are pretty much, they are being returned as empty really to crawlers, because the crawlers won't really spin up the JavaScript, so it's really difficult to optimize for any answer engines really. So the answer engine optimization, AEO, it's pretty much impossible with lovable, unless you make it explicitly to create like separate LLM files, like specific instructions for the LLM crawlers, but there is no guarantee they would ever take it into consideration that you have those separate LLM prepared, LLM ready dedicated files for the crawlers to understand what on the page. But with vercel, at least, we have the server-side rendering enabled, and we are now redesigning the applications that were initially built on lovable. Okay, so now we actually have this header. As you can see, it actually exists, so it was just never implemented before, most probably, or it was just just an issue, an error, and now it presumably fixed it because it is comparing it against the standalone HTML thing. Oh, you see, calling plugin playwright 2 times. It was able to take that screenshot. It's not bad. Okay, looking great. Warm cream palette, deep green text, teal accents. All rendering correctly. Let me check the console for errors and take mobile and tablet shots, which is great as well. So it's 375, which is mobile. Mobile looks solid. Single column stacking, readable hierarchy. Let me check this 768 pixels. Again, if you have it specified in your plan, in your spec, like it was in the previous video, we can actually make it take screenshots, optimize, and yeah, it's basically compare the end goal to the existing prototype it actually built now. Now it has to do the smoke testing, so call all those URLs, and it has to test the NA10 contact form. So the contact form I have on the website, it goes to the NA10, to the webhook. There is a secret there, and basically the edge function on the vercel side is receiving the form input and then signs it and sends it to webhook on the NA10 side. There are some checks in place on the NA10 side as well, and then we have an LLM that responds, and I have a log as well. I think it was also on Telegram. There is a channel, that dedicated channel that I get notifications in about the new form submissions from both websites. Okay, something is not working. Not sure why, what that was about. File, serve the reference HTML. Oh, okay, it can't open up the HTML file. Read it directly for structural comparison. Okay. Quick note one-liner. Okay, so now it is trying to take the pictures very closely at 1280. Let me compare it mobile and check for subtle differences. So it is great. As you can see, if you export this HTML file, the actual representation, how it used to work on the Claude Design, even so the difference shouldn't be that great because you already supplied the files and pretty much everything. Still, the HTML file is a really good thing because it can compare itself and make the notes to itself if there are any inconsistencies between the two. And I still expect it to test it on mobile and tablets, and the contact form would be great if we could test it automatically as well. So let's wait it out a bit, and then if the instruction doesn't get ignored, we'll check on the NA10 side if the form got submitted to test it out. Okay, here is pixel perfect. Quietly warm rust. Shoebill figure with caption. La la la. Services grid is perfect. Yes. Contact section and ways to work. Let's see. So again, as you can see, I could just leave it behind because I have this auto mode enabled. It's not always recommended, obviously, but in this case it is a local application. Yes, there can be issues. It can do some really stupid things, but I haven't seen it doing any really stupid things. So you just leave it behind when you have this plan prepared, you have the local application, and you have the instructions to run the smoke tests, maybe create some unit tests, do some code review, and take screenshots and compare. Okay, both errors are dev mode artifacts. There is some console log error which it found. Again, it's an auto mode. There is no expectation on its end for me to share any feedback or whatsoever. So it's just basically doing its work in silence. I can just leave it behind and come back when it is ready. And also I think if you configure the channel on your mobile phone, you can see when the job is done. You'll get a notification, which is great. Okay, so there's only one job left, the T19 smoke test contact form end-to-end verification, which might be really interesting. And I'll pause the video now. I'll open up my self-hosted N8N and we'll see if there is any attempt to contact the server. Okay, so this is my N8N, and there's a webhook here that expects the post request. We have some JavaScript that is checking a secret inside the payload. Then we have a guardrails node that basically decides if it makes sense to even do anything about the request. There's a Gemini model there that decides if we do anything about that. If not, it just gets logged in my spreadsheet. If the request is fine, then we obviously save it as a request data, and then there is an agent that analyzes the input and sends it back to the user. Obviously make sure to have those guardrails in place and some basic instructions to the agent, just not to waste any tokens and respond to every automated bot request that you would be getting on a daily basis. And then I have this this automated message logged in my spreadsheets and also sent in via Telegram, the initial request and the actual LLM response. And the agent is pretending to be my virtual assistant and has this kind of a posh Victorian way of speaking, let's put it this way, like a really nice dressing, speaking with panache, let's put it this way. Now let's see how it goes. Okay, it works fine, and let's see if it tried sending anything. So service default shows AI voice assistant. The voice assistant's fix is confirmed. Now filling valid data for real E2E submission. Form filled. Let me take a quick screenshot to verify the values, then submit. Okay. So now it tries to fill out this form itself with AI voice assistants. Actually, this got changed by Claude Design as well. These were different, which is great. So now it has to provide a name, email. The company is optional. This one, well, there is a default option. It has to be picked. This one, I'm not sure if it is optional. There is no star in here. We'll see. Form filled correctly. Now submitting and monitoring the API response. So it should get 200. Always, whatever we've got from the guardrails or the JavaScript checking node. Likely missing webhook secret and var locally. Yes, it's actually missing that. That's for sure. I know that for sure. I forgot about it. Okay, so let me pause the video and I will provide this. Okay, it was correct, and I created the .env.local, and it will find the webhook secret. which means the dev server needs a restart to pick a webhook secret. Let me restart it. Okay. Okay. So it will try to send it over again, but this time with the actual webhook secret. And what this webhook secret does, the contact has to be, well, the message itself has to include one of the headers that has this value. It's a hard-coded value. It's not exactly secure, but it was a good idea to have at least something. On lovable side, at least it was an edge function. And now when the payload comes to the N8N webhook, the post payload, if there is this string of characters, then we proceed to work on the message. If not, then we'll just dismiss it. Okay, so server up 200. Let me reload the page and resubmit the form. Now it actually takes more time than expected. And let me open up the N8N to see the executions. And there is something running in here, as you can see. I mean, at this point of time I can't really open it, but it succeeded. So it actually has sent this request. As you can see, all of it is green. So I won't show you my Telegram, but let's see what was in the message that was sent to my Telegram as a confirmation. I'll just open it up here. So new website request has been submitted, or maybe let's name Claude test. That was my email. That's actually my email. Yes. Smoke test. The date. AI voice assistance. Dear Claude. Yours faithfully. Sales desk. So this response was generated by the LLM based on the instructions, and that was the original payload that came from the form, which is great. So we can verify that it actually worked. For some reason it decided to create 5 more of those. Design, let me do a final rate limit smoke test by firing for rapid API calls. File out 6 returns 429. Okay, perfect. Okay, so it works. Now run the code simplify plugin to identify code duplicates. Code bloat or anything. Need of refactoring. As my context is still 47%, I'm keeping it this way because the context has all the required information. It couldn't load the code simplifier skill, which is weird because it's part of the plugin and I know that I have the plugin. And it thinks it is an agent. Okay. Even so, it was plugin, but not found available agents. Yeah, obviously it is not an agent, it is a plugin. It is a plugin. Okay, so it has found that plugin and it will go through the changes that we just did, so the commits, and it will check all of them, recheck if we have any duplicates, any issues, anything that needs to be refactored, and anything wrong in there. So it's going to take its time, and when we are done, I will run one more plugin. It's for code review, and obviously there will be some other outputs there. There is a recommendation on the market to spin up 3 or 4 different subagents with a really similar but slightly different input prompt, and let's say a very similar subagent that does code review but with a slightly different prompt, and then to have a summarization agent that will take the outputs from 4 or 5 subagents and kind of come up with a list of fixes that we need to do. In this case, let's try to do it, but let's refresh the context window, just clear it up once the code simplifier is done. So it reads through everything in here, and it is going to take its time. I will pause this video for a while. Okay, we are back. So clean pass committed, and we have the dead CSS utilities, dead design tokens, duplicated data fields collapsed, and some multi-line Lucid React import. Yeah. So, and let's test out the last item we discussed. Actually, I haven't been using this, but I stole this idea from Nick Sarayev. Let's try it out, but let's just clean up the context. Okay, now run fav subagents code review plugin each to check the latest changes. Make sure to make sure for them to have a slightly different set of input prompts to check for different things. I'm interested in loading time, Google page speed in insights security, simplicity, to come up with those prompts, spin up the sub agents and let the main agent with the Opus model analyze the results, implement the required changes. Yeah, so let's try that out this way. I didn't specify the model for subagents. Presumably this will be the Sonnet 4.6, but it has to understand that it has to spin up an additional main agent and to switch to Opus 4.8. And there is a new model as of today. I think it was Fable, the name. I haven't tested it yet, just didn't have the time. So let's see how it works out. The thing is about this approach is that in a way you have an army with, not an army, but literally 5 independent agents or sub agents that don't have this shared context. They get a slightly different input, and they are supposed to come up with a slightly different output. And the main agent will, as you can see, 5 different angles, and it will compare the outputs from them and get a list of things that have to be done. It is an expensive operation, but in the case of a redesign like this, it actually makes sense. So it will spin up those subagents, so performance review, recent changes, security review. There will be another one, code simplicity review of recent changes. So we could do the very same thing with this code simplifier, but we only run it with one agent. There's another one for Next.js patterns review of recent changes. So Next.js is being used because we need the server-side rendering for the crawlers. Accessibility and CEO, not CEO, SEO review of recent changes. And there will be, yeah, these are our 5. So let's wait for them to finish. And there has to be the main agent that will kind of create that summary and inform me what's to be done. And this is my context here. It's only 13% at this point of time. Well, let's wait it out. Maybe it will find something that we didn't have. Oh, by the way, as you can see, the instruction was understood. Spin them up in parallel, then synthesize with Opus 4.8. Sorry for that. I have this cold turkey blocker. This is my favorite desktop application, I would say. It is amazing, and even like as an approach to business, this guy just developed an application that allows you to block the distracting elements on your desktop machine, be it an application or a website, give you some time to use it on a daily basis, and to block them by forcing you to type in a certain number of characters with no mixed mistakes and so on. And the thing is, it's not a subscription really, you just purchase it once, which is great. And cold turkey, it's highly recommended. In the meantime, while we are waiting, I will probably just post this video. Doesn't make any sense to waste any more of your time, and we'll get back when we have the last summarization agent active. Okay, we are almost done. So as you can see, there's this done next to the Next.js one, and down to the next to the accessibility and SEO review of recent changes. There's only one, the code simplicity review of recent changes, and the main one, which is supposed to be the Opus 4.8, the summary, and probably we will just make it implement the changes if we happen to find any. Usually we do, especially with such a number of changes in here. Even so, this is a small application, just yeah, it obviously will find something. So it is recommended to take this approach, spin up a couple of sub-agents in parallel with a slightly different prompt, just like a slightly different task, and they will find something. Especially for bigger code bases. You will have to separate it into pieces, I guess. Oh, by the way, meet Fable 5, our newest model for complex, long-running work. Try any time with model. But I was too late. We can actually test it out. Okay. Maybe spin up the Fable 5 instead of Opus 4.8 implementation agent with the full findings. I think it is twice the usage of Opus 4.8 based on stuff I've read so far, but let's try it out. Hopefully I have enough there, but maybe it will find something or suggest something that I didn't expect. Well, it's supposed to be much better than Sonnet anyway, 4.6, but it is cheap. And for my small website, it is more than enough, frankly speaking. Okay, let's see how it goes. Okay, there are some tokens flowing in. Okay, agents, synthesize all 5 reviews and implement fixes. Fable 5. Okay. Usually it kind of returns a list of things that it identified as flaws that have to be fixed in some way. So now it scans all of those affected files, presumably, and come up with an idea. We'll see. And let's take a closer look at the context. I have a couple of ideas for my upcoming videos, and I will be able to test out the Fable model in more detail. At this point of time, this summarization agent probably won't show many differences with the Opus 4.8, so I need to come up with something more difficult, more advanced for it. Let's see. And for the marketing portfolio website of mine, I was thinking about using Open Code with the Open Router and the GLM model just as an experiment, but we'll see how it goes. For now, let's pause this video and get back to it once it is ready. Okay, and we are back. So build passes clean, 11 out of 11 static pages. Fable 5 implemented across 10 files. So biggest wins. Some structural things with the TypeScript, and we also have performance, lazy loaded, security, sanitizing the inputs, really good as well. Simplicity, SEO, services, page metadata, title tightened, section updated to match the current 6 services, stale Ipanema comments replaced. No commits made, changes are in your working tree ready to review. Okay, now remember we have to remove the temp folder because it used to have the Claude Design documents. It has to go. And what else? There was also this HTML file, that the one I don't really see anymore, but perhaps it was moved to some other place. To specs, no. Plans, not sure where is it located now. Okay, next, maybe the very last piece. Remember that we have plugins, right? And remember that we used code simplification and the code review subagents to change the final pieces, let's put it this way, to polish it. So that was this code review plugin, or that was the code simplifier plugin. So whenever you need to install it, just go to one of them, click on here, and you just open it up in the terminal, but not with Claude enabled, but just a terminal, PowerShell, or be it Bash, just with mouse, Claude plugin install, and it will install this official plugin. Plugin is pretty much a selection of scripts and skills, like a folder of those, grouped by task. So let's get back to this one. The very last one that we have to utilize, which is highly recommended, is also a plugin, but you don't need to use really a plugin for this, but yeah, I found that for me it makes sense to use this plugin here to audit the existing Claude MD file, capture learnings, especially after big developments like this one, big redesign projects, and obviously update the memory. So I will just copy this because I already have this installed. But before we move on, I'll just clear the context again, and I will type it, audit my Claude MD files and the rules to depict the current state of the project. So it is suppose, and before we do that, I'll just copy it with Ctrl C. I'll just replace the model to Fable, and let's see what are the changes that we are going to see. Maybe there will be some improvements with running this plugin, other than just wasting way too many tokens, but let's just try it out. So audit my Claude MD files, the rules to depict the current state of the project. Okay, and now we are running Fable 5, the model that was released just today. Empty context. It loaded the skills, you can see this Claude MD management, Claude MD improver, the skill inside that plugin we installed, and now it has found the claudemd.file, so claude.md file, and also there is this folder called rules that has specific instructions about the SEO, the design system, the contact, and these files have to be updated obviously because we just redesigned the entire application. So now it has to check the changes and put them into those respective files, especially the Claude MD, because it has to be updated. It describes the approach to, our standards pretty much, and those files here, and these have to be updated with the design system, especially the fonts, for example, the colors, the approach to moving objects, the animations, and so on. All of that has to be updated now. So now it tries to compare the plan, as you can see, the specs, everything that we've done so far, so everything that is staged really, and it has to compare it to the existing Claude MD files and the rules in that markdown format. And now those files are supposed to be updated just for our next sessions to be more productive, obviously, without making any mistakes or writing anything. So let's see, maybe it will also create an additional file in here. I don't really know. Searching for one pattern, reading one file. Okay. Let's see what comes out of it. As you can see, there is a funny thing about testing that webhook. there was an issue with the user agent. The user agent was empty, I think, and the init then wasn't accepting this post request, so we had to send it over as well. Okay, let's see what the results are. Checks the logs as well. Okay, I'll pause my video for a while. It's going to take some time. Okay, so suddenly I got a question. Which of the proposed updates should I apply? Design system, docs only, no git ignore, none, only report, and all four. Oh, it's all four, obviously. And okay, submit. Oh yeah, submit. So now it has to update the CloudMD file, the rules, the git ignore as well, just not to send anything that shouldn't be on GitHub. And let's wait it out. When we have this ready on our end, we'll push this to GitHub, and vercel will pick up the new version and spin it up on production. Let's see. So it checks the git ignore file, what shouldn't be sent, updated the design system, or updating now. Yes. So the component conventions, the typography, as you can see, there should be a component about the new fresh fonts, the colors, as you can see as well. I don't see anything related to fonts yet. Oh, bricolage, yes, spectral, space, mono, Google Fonts, yes, definitely in place as well. So all of that is being updated. Okay, the git ignore files and folders are being added there. Not to set anything to GitHub, something that shouldn't be there. Okay. All four updates are applied. Git status confirmed. No longer shows as untracked. Audit results. Well, I won't really go through all those details, but there are updates to pretty much all of them. Git ignore it. That docs folder too. I don't really need it on GitHub. The design is already there. It's already behind us, hopefully. Okay, so the docs folder is ignored now as well. So now I want this staged. Okay. Stage everything we've done today. Commit with a funny message. Push to remote. And that's it. So now those changes will be staged. There will be a commit message, and we will push all of that to GitHub, and vercel will pick it up, and we will have a new version deployed, hopefully. It uses PowerShell. Actually, it is in the CloudMD, I think, as well. Just not to try to use bash, as you can see. There's only git via the GitHub desktop binary, yes, and it even contains the information that my SSD drive is well, it doesn't have enough space. It's an obsolete information, but still there. I had some issues with the Insta360 videos. I just didn't have enough space on my machine. Okay, that's it. Staging all 14 files, committing and pushing. Okay. Okay. JSON LD entities is really important as well to have it for the answer engine optimizations. It basically has my professional profile, my organization, my personal website, and all the other places where my name is, along with some additional information. Design system got updated. Contact, I don't think it was updated. Didn't really change much. Okay. Let's check vercel. Okay, that's the page. And the deployment, there is no running deployment in there, but I'm supposed to get one the moment we have everything pushed to GitHub. Well, this video is much longer than I expected, to be honest, but we covered a couple of interesting things, especially those plugins at the very end. I'm still not sure what's happening there, why it takes so long. Okay, I'll pause the video again. Okay, so you've hit your session limits. Okay, so okay, let's check on vercel. And there is this building here. So the new build, the new deployment is on its way. Let's check if everything is fine there. Just dot. Not a good idea. Let's see the build logs. Any errors, any issues? Nothing there really. Okay. And this is the new design, fresh one. Okay, so deploying outputs. It tells me ready. It took 27 seconds, but I don't think anything. Let's just refresh it. Okay. We cache it there. Deployment completed. Okay. So now, presumably, I will have this new version of the website with some cache there, and I'll test it out here with example LTG and my email. I would like to you to explain the inner workings of anything. Okay, message sent, and give me a second, I'll just check it on my Telegram. And here we are. The N8N messaged me. So the request arrived, it was verified, checked, the LLM reacted to the content inside of that message. The guardrails node accepted the payload. So that was the original payload that arrived at N8N. So the name, email, company, service that I selected, the message and the timestamp, and that was the response that was generated by the LLM, and it was actually sent back to that Gmail of mine. So training services, the year and the name, and then some kind of an automated message, really. Sales department, like I have one. Well, that was it. Thank you for your time. Hopefully that was interesting. Some things were definitely over-engineered here for such a small and really simple website, but it actually works now, and I can proceed with my second web page in my next video, where I will try the test out the GLM Chinese models via OpenRouter and the Open Code, or maybe I'll try the anti-gravity. I didn't decide yet, but it's time to for some diversification, I guess, in terms of tools. Anyway, that was it. The page is there. I have to replace this icon here, as you can see, but this comes later because it is still the lovable icon, and that shouldn't be the case. But yeah, the remaining piece of the website, the marketing website, let's put it this way, it is on production and it works. I have to click now, check it out. If anything works, the service is actually a separate page. It kind of exists in this vacuum, really, because all the remaining things are sections on the home page, but services is a separate page. And this button is not great either, as you can see. Other than that, these are like really minimal changes I have to do, and it took me, well, it could be done even faster if I wasn't recording those videos. Anyway, hopefully that was useful. Try it out, use the Claude Design, use Claude Code, test out the Fable 5, and yeah, stay tuned with my latest video. I have a plan to release many more this month. Thank you. Peace.